which had the previous government was held hostage by the group. They came in and they literally blocked the roads, and people were scared of that group. So when the judgment was given to free her by the Supreme Court, the same group then threatened. They came out on the streets. They were rioting for 2 days, and the stage was held hostage for 2 days. But this is the first government that, on the next opportune moment, actually took them out. We put them in jails. We just completely, and Asia Bibi was then safely, she came out, and then she wanted to leave the country, and we helped her. So all I'm saying is that this government you will see that it will treat its minorities as equal citizens. There's just one thing, I don't want to go into details, but there's one aspect, I can't talk about it, but we have still a problem. I'm not saying we've completely controlled the situation, but you will see that this is not out of worry about what the Western world or any other people say about us. It's because out of our conviction that our minorities, according to our religion, according to our constitution, are equal citizens. Now the media. I have, my life, I went to university in England, and I spent about 18 summers of my life in England. And I've seen the British media, very open, very free media. The Pakistan media, in my opinion, is even freer than the British media. There is the media in Pakistan, is not just free, but sometimes out of control. I can tell you that in Britain, no media would have published things like, or said on television things like the Pakistan media has done. I can tell you since I've been in power. Imagine, I don't even think in America this would be allowed, even though the media has this love-hate relationship with President Trump, more hate than love sometimes. But imagine that, a prime minister of a country, and this man sits on television and says that I can tell you that he's getting divorced tomorrow. So if there was some truth in it, you would, okay, if he had some knowledge. But there's only me and my wife living together. Where did he get this information from? But this sort of thing, in the olden days, I can tell you that this guy would have been beaten up. Nawaz Sharif's time, the previous prime minister, he had journalists beaten up. Asif Zardari, people were petrified of him. People would disappear. In my time, I went to the legal channels, I reported it to the media, I went into the court. All I'm saying is that what the media in Pakistan is, you will not find a media like that. And I remember the previous ambassador to Pakistan, him saying that the media was out of control. So what we need is to control the media, and not through the government, but through a media watchdog. At the moment, there are 2 or 3 things the media did. One is that they started reporting wrongly that the IMF had said that the rupee would fall, to a number they quoted. There was a run on the rupee. Who would do that? First, you're fighting in the biggest economic crisis in your history. Second, you have media coming up with this false news about causing a run on the rupee, or the finance minister's change, and so on. So I feel very strongly that we will strengthen the media watchdog. It is not censorship. We will strengthen the media watchdog. But there are 70 channels or 80 channels in Pakistan. Only 3 channels reported that they were having some problems. So
we have a whole afternoon's worth of questions for you. But before I go, I just need to ask you one last question. It's very important for USIP's mandate, and that is the number of international NGOs that are raising concern about the increased difficulty of working in Pakistan. And, fully understanding that the government has a role in registering these groups and in regulating the space, Many of them are complaining of a very arbitrary process that ultimately is hampering very genuine efforts to work in partnership with Pakistani organizations and the government, and examples of forced expulsions. Is your government committed to addressing this issue? It's been going on since before you took office, and I think there are hopes that you might be able to do something to make it a more transparent and fair process.
Absolutely. The foreign minister has been dealing with this issue, and we have tried to work out to have these guidelines for media, for NGOs. I mean, I run the two biggest NGOs in Pakistan, which is the Cancer Hospital and the university. But we did have problems, and I can just frankly tell you the reason why these restrictions came. There was an issue of Shakil Afridi, who was working for a NGO.
The doctor.
The doctor, and the NGO was what is Save the Children?
Save the Children.
So after that, the result was that the extremists, militants, started targeting NGOs. Specifically, we had one of our biggest problem was that the polio workers were being targeted. So many of the polio workers were shot after that. So after that, we are trying to streamline it, make sure that this doesn't happen again, because that affected the activities of other NGOs. In fact, one of the NGOs gave a statement condemning that NGOs should not be allowed for espionage or that sort of stuff. But we are already looking at it. There were 3 German NGOs which had left Pakistan, but after being cleared, they've come back, and we're looking at a case-to-case basis.
I know there'd be great appreciation for that. So, number of questions, none of them small. Here's from Twitter. Any progress on restarting the U.S. security assistance? Some of these we can make rather short.
No, I never asked for any assistance.
Okay. Also
asked for understanding, not assistance.
Also from Twitter, what's an ideal Kashmiri solution from the Pakistan perspective, and one that you believe the Pakistan people will accept?
I think it should not be the Pakistani people anymore. It should be what the people of Kashmir want. And that really is the only solution. What do the people of Kashmir want?
And presumably a process that surfaces that and enables it to take hold.
Do you know, I'm told, because we had 3 foreign ministers who were in other parties who joined us. One of them, of course, is Shah Mahmood Qureshi. And 2 of them told me that actually they came pretty close in the time of General Musharraf and when Mr. Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of India. Apparently, they came pretty close. There was some sort of convergence on a phased movement on Kashmir, on sort of various steps to be taken, and over a period of time, some sort of a referendum. Anyway, but I don't want to say anything right now because it's a delicate issue. But there is a solution, and the solution has to be with the will of the people of Kashmir.
So you covered this, but I see about 4 questions going back to this issue of media censorship. And here's one particularly that talks about TV